OPT, OP. This should be, yeah, not UN.
Oh.
That was just for username.
Username.
Sorry. My abbreviations.
Excuse that.
Okay. How do I share it now? Oh, I don't know. Kenny? I'm like, no, it just says up to you.
I think Kenny had to go around to the different, I don't know what he did.
Either do
I
I.
have it written down.
I got some ideas of mine to share with you. I made up full sheets, but some.
Okay, Kenny will be coming over. He's setting up a video because some people had to leave over there. I don't know how to do this piece to get this up on. Thank you. As you look at full-time positions ever, you want to hire a Kenny. He's just our tech ed teacher, but we make him have a lot of hats. Like he's the one that created your little posters for you. And then this is his room, so he's normally our go-to in a lot of areas. So.
Thank you.
On this page, make sure you snap a picture, but not UN, just for username. Don't put those in and slash of the Moodle site. Because this reference guide for you has everything and anything. So if you are logged in and you can save it as a favorite, definitely do that. Because your seat in here, it's more than just the pieces that we're covering today. The conferences are at the very bottom of the page, but your seat, even, we worked on, when I was out at Greater Ncaa, they asked for some common email language, so we added that in there. And then there's lots of little videos in here. I apologize because it's mainly me doing them, but it's at least a quick guide when you forget after the big long trainings or you haven't done something in a while and then you need to look at that. It will have some of the things even as we get to the end of the year, how to bulk action close out things. Because you definitely want to clean up your accounts before summer or plan to come back in August to clean up first with it. But Edgenuity definitely has made that a lot easier. All Maggie's special education stuff was in there, our math, the power speed. So everything, a lot of the feature sessions today are all in here. But for this one, we have that Ncaa piece. Now, yeah, every person should, every district has to fill out the non-traditional academic form. If you haven't done that, then you're not even getting close to that point of being accepted. And your courses will not be Ncaa approved. Okay? So the first step you have to do is fill out the non-traditional academic form. All of it's done for you. You just have to change. And I'm going to put a Word document one on here for you that has everything on it of the new one, because there's a brand new one now. It just came out, I think, at the beginning of this year. So I just filled it out for a couple of schools with them when we did the webinar in the beginning of the year. So I'll update that and put it onto Moodle also. How many of you have filled out the non-traditional form? 2 of you guys so far? Possibly 3, who knows? I didn't get to look at that email completely yet.
Is that an administrative thing to do?
In our district, it's a school counselor thing to do.
Okay.
So I don't know.
So it's a classroom teacher, that's probably not something that would fall in my plate.
No. No, I would hope not.
Okay.
But
Unless
it
you say
will,
yes.
but
Force
the-
input is the only thing I would.
Well, you should have-
unless you're an
You need
English
course input.
teacher. Are you an English teacher?
Yes.
You guys can write. And it's really trying to convince
So,
the
yes.
NCAA, let this work.
So I have to wait and see what
Yeah.
bus super tells me.
So,
So I think we're highly recruiting you as the English teacher to help us out.
Okay.
Okay, what you want to look at on here is providing enough information to get approved in time. I have not yet worked with a district that has been NCAA approved the first time. I think that they reject all of us as soon as we fill out non-traditional because they want to have us keep proving. When I first did our NCAA eligibility, it took me almost a whole school year. Ours was a little more unique because I was trying to get approval that if any of you utilized our courses, you too would be NCAA approved. So I did it as like a vendor and not just as a school. So I had a lot more paperwork to do. But the pieces that you have to remember, and even when you're teaching, you have to be proactive and supportive to kids and not reactive. The pieces that NCAA does not ever approve is if you're just the tutor or you're only facilitating the course. So when you're building that, and just with anything, when you're grading Edgenuity on your own, there's the comment area, and then the little pencil lights up and everything, and will give feedback. Your feedback needs to be that of what you would do in your traditional classroom. So you want to still pose additional questions sometimes. Like if a student had part of the answer, but not the whole, what would you say to a student that was in your traditional classroom? That's what you want to write within. So even though I don't agree with everything of the NCAA and how much work they're making us do on online education, they're making us do it because they're holding everybody to a higher standard. But it's really just a higher standard of best practices for your program. So when you're completing this, a lot of what you have to fill out is teacher expectations. So what do you expect your teachers to do every day? I have my teachers sign off on a teacher expectation sheet every single year. If your teachers are teaching, or even if you are going to become the teacher, you want to have those expectations given to you every year,
when does this paperwork need to be like submitted?
any day.
Is there a deadline?
No.
Because our superintendent was just like, no, we haven't done that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the earlier the better. Because you're gonna get rejected, so do it again. You wanna give yourself time.
Yes, the good thing is even like Ncaa utilized us for a while for being teacher of record and everything. And they had a student that then decided, I think they golfed or played tennis, I can't even remember. But it was something unique that then that kid got a scholarship. Well, the whole way through, never did not say, we are NCAA approved. But this kid took all her cyber courses, I think 3 out of the 4 years, all online. Even though they still, correct, you do not have approval for, that child did get approved. But it was a 10 over. A 10.
And this was after the fact?
That was
She didn't
after
know
the fact.
all along. So you had best practices all along, or she never would have been approved.
Correct, luckily.
Yes.
But those best practices are really what you want to do, and having a lot of that, and that's where you want to check. And on this document within here, there's it will talk about different documents and different information. And then let's see, yeah.
So whose name is this under on your Moodle? I missed that. Is this under you? OPT.
OPT, OPT.
OPT.
Just click right up there.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
She just said
and then down towards bottom. Awesome. But a lot of the resources above on the Moodle page are going to give you the resources you need to attach to your NCAA guidelines. The other place that has some of those, which it's my summer goal, is to move the whole binder that we have, like it's just called binder, and then it says ABC, and it's in either your Office 365 or Google Docs. That binder, or a lot of you should, somebody at your district, in every district, should have a blue binder that has like teacher expectations. It should have a student handbook, a parent handbook, everything that has ever started with the cyber program. If your district no longer has that, just let me know. But, or if you were not the point of contact, like Amy, if you don't, I would assume you don't have that if you're not on our mailings.
Right.
So all of those, if you don't have the binder documentation within Office 365 or Google Docs, I'm gonna send around a piece of paper, put your email on, and then just mark Google Docs or Office 365. And I'll give you access to that before you get home tonight, you'll have everything. But in that binder, you'll find everything, like the teacher expectation handout, the student handout. A lot of the things that you have to provide as documentation when you submit your NCAA paperwork will all be listed within there or within Google. But the main pieces that you have to do is really show that you're being proactive. That word, as many times as you can write proactive, you need to. And I know that we've preached it a lot today, but having a cyber lab of some sort that kids can come into, if you don't have that and you just are strictly all online, you're not gonna get approved ever.
They have to come in.
You have to have an area that they can pretty much come into for proactive.
That's available or? that's
Available.
all kids?
Okay.
Oh, every kid can utilize it. It could be your library.
Like, could we say we have this area
Yep.
available? Because I do have some kids.
Like you have that library. Your library is an open resource that you can use. Or if you have a cyber lab, staff it with teachers, not paraprofessionals in the high school. Use it as a duty period to cover. And then you have tutoring available also. But again, you're not going into tutoring just when that kid has a question. You're coming in and responding to being proactive. Now, I know that sounds like, oh my God, these kids, why don't they just take a full-time class? You can have a resource area. That doesn't mean a kid's gonna use it. But it's going to be there on paper and live for if a kid does need it. Those are the main things that you have to understand. And one of the arguments that I have with NCAA is when I was getting approved for it, they're like, well, we need to make sure that kid's taking their class. And I said, well, how many of my traditional classes I'm approved for, because we have a plethora, do you come in and see that my football player is answering during that time period? How many do you come in and see is that cross-country kid in there, or are they out leaving early to get to a match? Like, and after conversations and like moving up the chain, I think that's how. So when they say no, don't take no as your answer. But you have to respond and you have to like give your rebuttal within a timeline. If you miss that timeline, then you're back to square one and you have to fill out the non-traditional form again.
I just have a question, because then you guys fill the initial form out as a vendor. What does that mean exactly? And then what are the barriers? It sounds like you're giving us a few barriers seem to be a place, and maybe it's not proactive enough. Is there anything else that they're looking for that you're finding schools are getting confused on?
You have to provide some face-to-face time for students and that you're not just there if they're struggling. those are their main things, is that the computer can't just teach them. And that's where, like, I go back at them all the time at best practices, because no teacher is letting a computer just teach them. There's constant email, there's constant feedback, there's constant interaction. Some of my teachers know their kids better than their traditional teachers that have them in their course. Because you can watch the frustration sometimes when they get into the red. You can hear the frustration sometimes through an email. You can see different things if you know what you're looking for in an online class that you're not going to always notice within your classroom of 30 kids. When we have kids in this room and everyone's facing different directions and on the computer and all around, you're not always getting all the cues that you can when you're only focused online with one kid at a time. And that's, you have to somehow put that story into your NCAA paperwork. You have to let them know that you know your students, you know what they're doing, and that you have high expectations for them.
Now, did anyone ever try to say Skyping students one-on-one counts as like a lab time?
Yes, that works. It will ask the one question in here about, or maybe it's on that newer one.
But they still.
Yeah, I think we might have put it in here. Yeah.
Page, I guess.
Here I say, number 28, right there. So you can see, and this is where, this is a big question. Frequency, nature of required instructor, initiated interaction. What do you require? So if you don't have a teacher expectation handout, create one or use ours. And in there, you'll see the word proactively reaching your students. Like most of my teacher expectation guideline that I did, I always had it. So I don't want you to think I'm creating something just to get approved. We always had those, but a lot of my word choices were changed just to meet their word choices. So I used key buzzwords that worked. English teachers are really good at this, so that might be why we have them right. Just saying. Special ed teachers, not always, unless it's how to wordsmith an IEP. But you want to definitely figure out ways and then have some documentation. So if you're going to use Skype or Google Docs or Google Classroom or different things like that, how do your family know about it? How do you have that expectation? So it should be in your student handbook. So then you can say when they, and don't give them everything at first, because no matter what, like I said, I do not have one district get approved right off the bat. So if you don't give them everything, then when they say, oh, you're not doing that, then you hand them X, Y, and Z documentation. Give them a couple of them, but don't give everything. Because then you can definitely say, well, no, that's just common sense. And that would be my conversations with them of, do you have common sense? Like, do you understand what teaching is? And they're not nice conversations on the other end, but it made them think of, oh, they're really doing it correctly. They care about kids and they know what they're doing. So it's questioning them back of, you want me to put that in writing? Like every teacher just does that naturally. But I can provide you that because that's part of their teacher expectations, or that's what we do here. And the courses though, so once you do get NCAA approved, you will. Like don't give up the fight. You'll get it, even if I have to start calling with you. You can get it done. The pieces that you have to remember and very important for teachers then to know, once your kid's NCAA approved, we ask on our application, are you seeking NCAA approval for classes? And not, like, you can have the kid that doesn't know, and then at the end, you have to do it. And it should be a best practice anyhow. But then I really tell my teachers, make sure you're putting your feedback all within the comments area of Edgenuity. And our teachers have moved in that direction more. I think it was harder for some of my teachers that have been teaching since we started this 12 years ago because they didn't have that feedback area. They had it always, but it never did anything. So kids never read it. Now, like, that pencil lights up, you know if they've read it or not. They've added features. But my teachers there for the longest time felt better than emailing kids right away. But then when NCAA looks at it, they want to see it right with the response to that area. So you want to get in that habit of writing your responses right where it says teacher comments after grades. So then they can see. And pose different questions just like you would. Like if they answered half of it, make them think a little bit. Or if they're doing straight A work all the time, still give them a higher level thinking question. But the nice thing on Edgenuity is, and what you can prove with to NCAA, is Edgenuity already has that broad range of level of questions. So they're not like some of the other programs out there of all low level true or false answers. You have your whole full range and they're all indicated. Like when you click on a course and you go into view quiz or anything, all the blooms are listed in what type of questions are they analyzing, what are they doing for each question to show that validity in that question. So even if you have to highlight some of your test questions for Edgenuity to show that higher level thinking, you can do that within. Making sure we communicate for sure, even if kids are doing great, 4 times every 9 weeks. So at 25% teachers are expected, and that can be a group email. 25, 50, 75, and then the end of the 9-week grade then goes on. And if you're being the teacher of record right now for your district, you're getting those. We move that way also with our partnering districts. So what we've done is we've created a spreadsheet for our partnering districts that have those dates listed. And then we're putting, and this might even help you as the organizer, not just for NCAA, but looking at kids as a whole. Having the teachers go in and putting the actual grade at 25%. And then a comment of what have they done yet. So if you're paying your teachers outside of their day, or if you are teaching outside of your day, sometimes, like we had that talk before, we have a lot of kids that just sit and don't do anything. But what are we paying for them? And it's not looking for the money, but what's going on. So when that kid says, well, I was on cyber and I sat there the whole time, my teacher didn't let it go. Because it's always your fault. It's never their fault at all. And it's never the parents' fault who signed them up for cyber and that's at home supposedly with them. So it's also just covering yourself that by having that documented, everything, that it's easy then for your principal. Like for me, I can just go on Teams and pull it up, defend my teacher to no end without even having to talk to my teacher, without bothering them. They already have enough going on every single school day. They don't need me knocking at their door asking for more references of what's going on. But that probably is one of those best practices that should be looked at and could probably increase the motivation of your kids. One of the other huge pieces of NCAA, though, is what we talked about in the last session with special ed. Unless they are special ed or a 504, you cannot augment that cost at all. So do not go and customize a course because you just took the NCAA eligibility off. And that's huge because you're sending in multiple courses with this. They're asking you for a couple courses. I think it's chem, math, and a world language right now are the courses that they've asked for.
I think what we got back was a sophomore English, a geometry, a language, and chemistry.
In chemistry. I don't know why they're big on chem.
So you can't edit those at all?
Once they're approved by NCAA, you
No.
cannot edit them, or if that kid, and you get one kid at least every year that gets red flagged. As soon as those kids write that they're non-traditional, because now on the application too, NCAA was smart with the kids. There for the longest time, it said, did you take an untraditional class? Well, in our district, taking a cyber class is not untraditional. It's just part of our culture. A ton of kids take it all the time. So they just do. And now the NCAA asks, did you take a cyber course? And you have to mark yes or no. So I feel like then they just take so many that mark that they are taking a cyber course and red flag them to see the validity.
There's some states you're required to take an online course to graduate in certain states, so like they're gonna mark every kid that applies for college in like Michigan or a place like that. Because they're gonna be overwhelmed.
I feel like they're getting overwhelmed. I feel like at least for our area, we're not getting as many red flags. There for a while, I was putting out a lot of work because like most of you as points of contacts are teachers or guidance counselors in other districts. So you're not even there in the summer. So then when they get red flagged, they just call Seneca. And then I'm doing it for them. But I don't feel like I'm getting as many now. They definitely go into detail. Follow this too. And I just helped another district, so I'll put theirs up as soon as we're done on the Moodle page 2. But you can copy and paste it, put word for word what you need. But then if you don't get approved, which, like I said, don't be surprised. It's like going through IRB for a dissertation. Some people need to earn their pay and they're just keep denying for a couple times. So then they can feel like warranted that they have a job. But call me because there's probably another district that I've already worked with that got denied or I was denied on that. And I'll tell you which documents to put in and we can add that. Does anyone have specific questions on this?
So like, we're thinking like we can split up the non-traditional, now we have to do the course analysis. The course analysis form where we're sending
Yep.
specific things. Do you have one of those completed that we can pull wording from to answer the questions that are on it?
Let me see what those questions are and if I still have them, Jen, yes. I know I have some that I did, but mine now is
Could we change from what?
4 or 5 years ago when we got NCAA approved. So send me it, but I'll do it anyhow because everybody else is gonna need it. The only thing that I cannot do for everyone, because you guys customize your courses your way, is you're gonna have to put your course structure out yourself. Because everyone's different there. Because a couple of people had asked me, can you give me your course structure? Well, yeah, if you're still following my course structure. But if you changed it at all, even moved anything out of order, you're one to submit yours. What other questions do you guys have? Well, definitely utilize this as you're filling it out. If you need help, give us a call. For NCAA, call me because I'm the only one right now in the program that deals with that for our cyber program. Val and Ashley and my cyber teachers are great, but none of them had to do any of it. So I don't want you to be misguided, and they're trying. Val definitely is always over and above trying to help, but I want to make sure that we get everything in that you need for it. Okay. And then if you need documentation, do a help desk ticket though for that. Because sometimes I can tell Val real quick as I'm running to a meeting or doing something where that document or the document name is and pull it and then she can send it to you faster than I can sometimes. So the help desk ticket helps a ton on that. Anytime you need any task, doing the help desk ticket to us works 1,000 times better than an email. Because like myself, I probably get 400 emails a day with it. And I don't want to miss anything that you send me. Okay, any questions? Any questions non-NCA related that you need help with?
I am a student that once we did the SAT prep, we've never offered it to our students. I know it's a pass-fail thing. Can we still get a grade for it? Like, we don't have any pass-fail courses like
You can do whatever you want. Yeah, I mean, you could get the actual grade, say that they have to follow so far. The reason that we do pass-fail is we let them go the course is huge, and we let them pick whichever topic that they're weak at, and that they want to build their SAT scores on. So that's why we do it pass-fail, because we don't require a certain amount of anything.
And then you give a half a credit?
Yes,
And that's for, they do a blended math and ELA at the same time?
correct. But again, we could create a course, or we could do whatever you want. You can have it
A lot of
done.
kids that use it?
Well, I think we have more that go to, in the traditional class for that than they do in our cyber class. So they do 3 days a week with math, 2 days a week with English, and then they flip at the 9 weeks. But I think normally, I mean, personally, that's where I would send my own children if they need help with that, because there's so many computer programs out there even, that free tutorials, everything for SATs, that if they're needing that support, I think the traditional setting is better. Says the cyber principal. Any other questions or anything? Thank you all for coming today. I hope that you guys gained a lot. If there's ever a topic that you want, I know we didn't